Once there was a king named Dushkavar. He was once a good man but became cruel. To become king, he did a terrible thing. He poisoned and killed his own father. After he became king, he treated everyone badly. He didn't care who he hurt or even killed to get what he wanted. He scared everyone by attacking other kingdoms every year. He never had any children, no matter how many times he got married.
King Dushkavar married 3 women each year to have kids. When they didn't, he punished them or sent them away. Then a wise man gave him a child medicine, but asked for 1 child back after 15 years. The king agreed and split the medicine into 4 parts, 1 for himself and 3 for his wives.
The king got the medicine, and the old man left. As time passed, each wife had a son: Khanbal, Baybal, and Narbal. Khanbal's mom was a Khan's daughter. Baybal's was from another king, but Narbal's mom was a poor camel keeper. They were all named accordingly. Years flew by, and when the boys turned 14 and 15, Narbal faced ridicule. His brothers mocked him, calling him names related to his mother's background. Narbal's mother was treated poorly by the others and considered a servant. The king didn't accept Narbal as his son, often favoring his other boys, Khanbal and Baybal. Whenever he mentioned Narbal, it was with disdain and laughter, mentioning his grandfather as a camel keeper. Narbal wanted to run away, but his mother stopped him, fearing the king's anger. She warned him that no matter where he'd go, the king would find and harm him.
Narbal was actually stronger and smarter than his brothers. On the day they all turned 15, the old man returned. The king tried to offer him property and wealth instead of a child.
The old man threatened to harm all 3 sons unless given 1. The king chose Narbal. Soldiers caught Narbala and gave him to the old man, while Narbala's mother pleaded for mercy and was imprisoned. As Narbal journeyed with the old man, he didn't know his mother was in prison. Along the way, a skull appeared, warning Narbal about the old man's murderous nature. Narbal was conflicted, but couldn't escape as his hands were tied. They reached a hidden building at dawn. The old man unlocked it and led Narbal inside a dark room. Tired, the old man suggested they rest and promised to make Narbal his son. After the old man left and locked the door, Narbal lay down, exhausted and tied. He lay down with his arms tied, but he could not sleep well until morning. He often woke up from sleep. He listened to his surroundings and slept again. In the morning, he lay down and slept with his arms tied, but he could not sleep comfortably until morning. He often woke up from sleep. He listened to his surroundings and slept again. The old man's footsteps woke him up in the morning. He listened and saw that the old man was opening the door. He jumped up quickly. The old man entered. He opened his arms and said, "This property, this state was all yours. We will live here like father and son. But we had no bread. Let's first light the oven and bake bread, then see what I will show you." Narbal remembered what the skull said when he said stove. But he wasn't afraid now. Since his hands were open, the old man was weak against him. However, he understood from his sweet talk that the old man was a very cunning man. That's why he paid attention to all the words and actions of the old man. The old man took Narbal to another room. He looked at Narbal and saw that this was the roof of the oven. The old man said, "Son, we have to knead the dough and fire the oven. Which one are you doing?" Narbal said, "Old man, we are father and son. Don't work anymore. I will do all the work. I will do all these things from now on. But I can't do any of them yet. You do this diary, I will look and learn," said the old man. "You're right, kid. Look, learn." Having said this, the dervish lit the tandoor. Then he brought flour and started kneading the dough. As soon as the dough was ready, the oven was smoking and glowing, and the old man stood up. He brought a big black pot and put it in the oven. Narbal saw that the pot was made for this stove. The handles of the pot rested on the edge of the oven, preventing it from falling too far. The bottom of the pot stood slightly above the fire in the oven. Narbala asked, "Old man, what was this pot for?" The old man said, "My son, We will bake the bread not in the oven, but on the walls of this call to prayer. This pot was for him, so that even when the bread becomes dull, it will not fall into the oven and spoil. Narbal understood that the old man was lying. At that moment, he remembered the words of the skull. The old man's purpose was clear. He wanted to cook Narbali in that pot. Narbal did not say a word. He waited to see what would happen in the end. The old man sat down and rolled the dough, then flattened the logs. Narbala also helped him, but Narbal could clearly see that the old man was deliberately moving slowly. The old man waited so long that the pot in the oven became hot like fire. He got up, sat down on the edge of the oven, checked the heat of the pan. Then Narbal said, "Now sit down and make the bread." This time, Narbal sat at the stove without saying a word. The old man gave him one of the loaves and said, "But put it in the oven in such a way that you can make the bread close to the fire, otherwise it won't be baked." Narbal said, "Eat, sir," and pretended that he was going to make bread. But in fact, he bent down a little and started looking at the old man from under his arm. He saw that the old man approached the wall on tiptoes so as not to make a sound, and took the lid of the tia from there. He took a small axe in one hand and started coming towards him. Narbal saw that what the skull said was true. The old man wants him to hit it with an axe and put it in the oven, and then cover it and cook it. When the old man approached, Narbal jumped up with a quick movement and said, "Old man, I have never made bread in the oven. If I lean into the oven with dough in my hand, I will fall and drop the bread. Bye, you make one, I'll look and learn, I'll make the others." The old man was angry, but he didn't show it on purpose. He quickly put down the things in his hand, took the bread from Narbal's hand, and sat down at the oven. Narbal waited so long that the old man hung upside down in the oven to bake the bread in his hand. Narbal kicked the old man. The old man fell on his face. Narbal quickly put the lid on the mouth of the pot. He came out and sat on it. No matter how much the old man shouted, Narbal did not rise from the lid. After a while, the old man's voice stopped. After the old man died, Narbal began to visit the old man's palace. There were 40 rooms in the palace. All of them were beautiful. Everything you wanted in the world could be found here. After Narbal had gone through 39 rooms, he opened the door of the 40th room. He saw that it was a clean, tidy, beautiful stable. A horse and a lion are tied in the stable, and there is a beautiful bird in a large cage. The horse whinnied, and the lion roared when it saw the Narbal. The bird spoke like a man and said to Narbal, "Welcome! How long have we been trapped here?" But we knew that no matter how cunning the old man was, in the end, there would be a brave man who would defeat him. He looked at animals and saw the old man put meat in front of the horse, poured grain in front of the lion, and put grass in front of the bird. He quickly took it and changed it, gave the meat to the lion, the grass to the horse, and the grain to the bird. All 3 animals called out and said, "Thank you," to Narbal. Then the bird said, "Narbala, you changed our food, and you gave everyone your food. It seems that you are a fair person who does not like injustice. We are ready to help you." Narbal said, "My fairness will not accept that you stay here, in this dark stable in a cage chained. I let you go. You can see what's next. You're welcome, and if you stay, I am ready to be your friend until death," Narbal said. With those words, Narbal released all 3 of them. Instead of running away, the animals began to rub their faces on Narbal's hands and feet, licking him affectionately. The bird spoke, saying, "We'll go for a walk during the day, find our own food, and always return here in the evening." After the bird finished speaking, it flew away. The horse and the lion also departed within a minute. Narbal explored the palace garden, a breathtaking place where nightingales sang. It was adorned with fruits, roses, and flowers more beautiful than any in his father's famed gardens. Exhausted, Narbal eventually ate the fruits he had gathered and lay down by the spring. He slept deeply, and when he awoke, He found the horse standing on one side, the lion on the other, and the bird perched on a stone above his head. The animals had brought food for Narbal. The lion had hunted a gazelle, while the bird had caught a partridge. Narbal prepared food for himself, ate heartily, drank, and then slept. From that day on, Narbal became friends with the animals. Days turned into weeks, and Narbal started feeling bored. The animals noticed this. One evening, the bird suggested, "If you're very bored, we'll take you to the city." Narbal discovered that this city was the capital of a king whom his father had greatly offended. He feared recognition and capture, unaware that his father was his own enemy, purposefully sending him to his demise. Sensing Narbal's concern, the bird reassured him, "We know what you're thinking, but don't worry. Change your clothes, wear an old dress. We'll take you to the city early in the morning before daylight. We'll come and fetch you, even after dark if you roam around." Narbal agreed. They spent the night, and in the early morning, Narbal donned a set of old clothes, tied an aged towel around his head, and mounted his horse. Before dawn, he arrived at the city alongside a lion, with a bird perched on his head. The horse halted at a high fence on the outskirts of town.